And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to take a look at a game called Plunder, which is going to be a deduction game for 2 to 6 players that plays in 30 to 45 minutes. In this game, each player is a pirate that has buried treasure on an island with a marker that is protected by a trap, and each other player is a pirate who's trying to figure out where the other pirates have buried their treasure as quickly as possible and submit their guesses as fast as they can in order to get the most victory points. Real quick, why don't we check and see what you get inside of the box? We'll see how the game plays, and then we'll come back here at the end and we'll get my opinion of it. So here you can see the components for Plunder all set up. Now we're basically looking at one player's perspective. They have a dry erase board with a dry erase marker. They have their island marker and trap that tells them where their treasure is hidden. They have one card for each player here, so they have 4 Jenny Raven cards. This is Jenny Raven, but there are 4 players in the game, so they have 4 of these cards. And on these cards, it will show all of the possible icons in the game, so all of the islands, all of the markers, and all of the treasures. And when you think you've figured out where someone's treasure is, you circle all of the appropriate things, and you will put that in this treasure box. So you have this treasure box. It will be sitting open, and once you think, maybe you think that somebody has whale, and anchor, and fist. And so you circle all 3 of those, and you'll drop it in there face down. And once you've done that, you've essentially put in your bid thinking that you know what that is, and if you're right, you'll be the first person and score points later. Enough about that, though. So each player has their own hidden island, marker, and trap that tells them where their treasure is. We have, for example, shark, palm trees, and sword, or cutlass, and only this player knows what these 3 cards are. They also know that no one else will have these cards, because there's only one of each type in the hidden secret thing card. So there's only 1 shark or 5 island. There's only 1 palm tree or 4 marker. You get the idea. Now, in the center here, there are 3 corresponding decks. These decks are likewise going to be the same markers or islands or traps. So you'll see there's a 4, 3, 2, 4. There's a duplicate 2. So you may have multiple of the same card in these common stacks that correspond to the agendas or hidden markers for each of the players. On a player's turn, they are going to reveal one of each of these cards from the center deck. So we'll reveal a green card, and we'll see that it's the 1 or the squid. We'll reveal a 1 card here from blue, and that is going to be the sinking ship. And we'll reveal a 6, which is the cannon. Now, at this point, I have the option of revealing or covering up any one of these cards with another card. It has to be only one of them, or I can leave it as it is. The reason I might want to cover these up is because maybe one of them gives away information about me. Or, well, that's probably not a reason, but maybe you already know too much information about that card. Maybe I already know that nobody has the sinking ship. So I could, in theory, decide to flip this over and get a different card. I have a 6, which is the skulls. But for this purpose, let's say, since it's the first turn, nobody knows anything, we don't flip over another card. After I have decided to stay on my 3 cards, so green squid, blue sinking ship, red cannon, each other player, which is sitting around the table, we have Salty Sal here. Across from the player we're looking at, we have One-Eyed Jack. And to the left or to the right of that player, we have Gasparilla. Each one of these players, in order, is going to have to answer aye or nay as to whether any 3 of these cards are in their own secret piles. So we can look at ours. Again, 5, 4, 2. We don't have any of them, but we don't have to answer. So it doesn't really matter. This player, maybe Salty Sal, will say aye. And so we'll look over here. We'll mark on Salty Sal, aye. Additionally, we would mark down here what cards were flipped up this round. That way we can keep track of everything that has happened in each of the rounds. And the game will go potentially 15 rounds, or until everyone submits all of their guesses. So maybe Salty Sal says aye. Then we go to One-Eyed Jack, and he actually doesn't have any of these cards, so maybe he'll say nay. Which is upside down for you. He'll say nay. And then we'll go over to Gasparilla, and he also says aye. So we got this. Aye, nay, aye. So now we have this data. What else do we need to know? Well, of course, we don't know anything about Sneaky Pete because he's not in the game, and we don't know anything about Devil Dog Drake because he's not in the game. But what we can do at this point is we can go over here to these 3 tracks, and we can mark down what we may or may not know. So we can look at 1. Gasparilla could potentially have the 1. So we could put, for example, a circle here if we wanted to. We know that One-Eyed Jack does not have the 1, so we can put an X here. And we know that Salty Sal could potentially have it, so like this. And we would do the same thing for each of the 3 different cards. After we've done this, we're essentially going to be done with our turn. But at any point, if we think we know all of the combinations, what somebody has for their green, blue, and red cards, we can fill one of these out. We would simply do that whenever we wanted during anybody's turn. we would circle maybe starfish, anchor, and hook. And we would throw it in here. And each player will be trying to figure these out as fast as possible and throw their cards into the box. When one player is done with their turn, of course, we pass to the next player, and they will do the same thing. They're able to reveal one card from each of these decks, and they must reveal at least one card. So we have 4, 6, 2. And maybe they decide to replace the 2 because they don't want to know anything about that, so now we have 5, 6, 4. And again, you would write these down on your sheets, so you'd have 5, and you'd have 6, and you'd have a 4. And so you'd write, oops, that's a backwards 4, but you'd write those all down. And you'd continue on in this manner, everybody answering aye or nay. So maybe you get nay, nay, aye. And you record all of the information appropriately. Now, once everyone has either submitted all of their cards thinking that everybody's got answers for what the treasures are going to be, and you'll have one extra answer because you don't have to answer for your own treasure, so you get kind of a free guess in there somewhere, you're going to go ahead and end the game. This will either happen or you'll go through all 15 turns and the game will end by itself. When you're done with this, you're going to essentially dump these cards out by flipping the treasure chest over, and this will be the order that they were put into the box. Then you're going to go through and you're going to see everybody's going to flip over their answers, so we'd flip this over, and we would see if any of the cards in order came out 5, 4, 2. If they did, that player, the first player to get it, is going to get 3 points for guessing my treasure correctly. Each time that somebody gets my treasure, I'm going to cross off one of these numbers on my map. So if one person gets it, I'm down to 3 points for my treasure. If 2 people were to get it, I'm down to 1 point. And if 3 players were to get it, I'm down to 0 points remaining for my treasure. So if 3 people got it, I would get 0 points there. Every time I find somebody's treasure, if I'm the first person, I'm going to get 3 points. The second person, I'll get 2, and the third, I'll get 1. So maybe I get 6 points by finding 2 players' treasures first. Essentially, you can write these down here. So you'd write 3 and 3 down here, and you'd add those together. You'd have 6. You'd add these 2 points together, and 6 is my total for the game. And whoever has the most points by best protecting their own treasure and finding other players' treasures is going to be the winner. Well, there you have it. That is Plunder, a pretty good game from R&R Games. As far as deduction games go, this one is very well made and a lot of fun. Of course, pirate themes are always fun, but this one requires you to pay a lot of attention to what's going on. Each player has those 3 different things that they're trying to protect, and 3 things they're trying to figure out for each one of the players. So if you have 6 players, you're trying to figure out 15 different things and keep track of it all in order to submit your guesses at the right time. With each player saying aye or nay, you can be pretty cutthroat about it. If I say aye and you didn't hear me, or I say aye and you weren't paying attention, do I have to say it again? Well, no, not really. It depends on how friendly your group is, but I'd say once I've said it and you didn't catch it, you're out of luck. Writing information down is really important, and trying to kind of glean some information, maybe not that's written down or maybe that's not given to you exactly, but get some information based on what other players decide they want to cover up with their second card, or get some information based on what you have about other players pertaining to a third player is going to be important for getting your answers written down as fast as possible. If you have a good memory, if you're good at taking down notes and paying attention to things, you're going to really enjoy this game. It plays pretty quickly, but very challenging. That's Plunder from R&R Games.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.